saying you cannot detect any server running. That means it means that MySQL is not installed. Do you think that's an issue now?
Okay, share your screen. Let me see.
The problem is I'm on mobile. Or can you go on while I switch to the system for this class? Then probably I'll share my screen.
Okay. Okay, so last class we were able to establish the difference. We were able to establish what a database is. So just for a recap, a data is a collection of facts. A data is a collection of details, information. So for, like we said last week, like using a telecom customer as an example, the customer's data, like say customers call records, can contain something like the customer's name, the phone number, the number the person called, how many minutes the call lasted, and all of that. So that's a data, but a database is where all these informations are stored. So using a library as an example, so if you say a library is a collection of a library is a place where books are stored. So it's the same way we say data. So it's the same way a database is. So a database stores data. So for a library, for example, the library is the database. The books in the library is the data. So just for a brief recap of what we did last week. So how do we create? Okay, so we also talked about different type of databases last week, and we said we'll be dealing more on the relational database. So how to create a database? When you want to create a database in MySQL, so we are using MySQL now. So when you want to create a database in MySQL, you use the create database statement. So for example, if you want to create a database with your, okay, let's say a database that contains customers, let's say customers recharge details or recharge data. So you can say, for example, create database voucher recharge, okay, or create database recharges. When you create a database and you don't want to use the database again, or you want to drop the database, you use drop database. So unlike SQL, Oracle SQL, when you want to create, you use create. You don't need to do database or drop database. You use create directly, you use drop directly. But in MySQL, you specify what you want to create. So that takes us to the next slide. Then a table. So there's a database, there's a table. So a table now is like a subset of the database. So in the database, so you create a table. So we create a database of customer recharges, but there are different types of recharges. So you can now do table in different tables. You create the different types of recharges. So let's say you have a database and you want to further filter or separate the information in the database, you create them on a table. So let's say you create a database, customer recharges, and then we now want to say, okay, first table contains voucher recharge. The second table contains e-top-up recharge. Then the third one says transfer. Okay, then so you can have different tables inside the database. but you have to have a database before you can create a table. You create a table from a database. Okay, so a table in a database is a collection of data in a tabular way. It consists of columns and rows. The table contains data elements, also known as values, using vertical columns and horizontal rows, just like we have in Excel. Okay, so when you say a table in Excel, it's the same way you have a table, you create a table in a database, is a function of rows and columns. Okay, so to create a table in MySQL, you use the create table function. So you do create table. Last week we created a table in Oracle SQL. So to do that in MySQL, you use a create table function. And there are two ways you can create a table. You can create a table from an existing table, or you create a table afresh. Okay, so, and you have to give the table name you are creating a unique name that you can easily remember, you can easily identify and know what information is inside the table. So like for like the example we are using, we say create table, we have database recharges, customer recharges, then we now have tables. So let's say we create a table for e-top-up recharge. Okay, so we create a table for e-top-up recharge, and then naming the table. So it's not just, it won't be good to say create table recharge. So you have to identify what kind of recharge, or so you have to be specific so that you won't end up mixing up different tables. So, or you say create table recharge 1, create table recharge 2. That would easily confuse you. But you can say create table e-top-up underscore recharge, create table voucher underscore recharge. So that way you know the type of recharge that is in which table. So when you are looking for information on voucher recharges, you don't go into e-top-up recharge because you won't find it there. Do you get that? So you can as well create table from another table, which is you create a table as, so it's also, you also give a table name from an existing table. So let's look at creating a table afresh. So if you want to create a table afresh, you do create table, you identify the table name, then you open a bracket. Inside that bracket, you specify the columns you want to create and the data type in each of the columns. We talked about data types last week. Are you with me? Are you following me? Hello?
Yes, ma'am, we are.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So we talked about data types last week as well. So you, okay, good, thank you. So you name the column and specify the data type. Okay. Then if you are creating a table from an existing table, that way you don't need to identify the data type because the data type is already created in the table. You just want to have like a duplicate version of the table. Or maybe the table contains like 20 columns, but you need information about just 5 columns. You create it on a you create it instead of having to scroll down through all the 20 columns before you pick one after the other. You just recreate it on another table with the 5 columns that you need. So all you need to do is just that you do create table, you put the table name, and then you now open the table you want to create from. You select the column from the existing table, and then you create that. So you can see something like as, where, from. All those ones are also different commands in SQL. So as is like an alias, like a naming alias. Okay, so we'll also get to that. We discuss aliases in SQL. Then where is a conditional statement to further filter the output of your data. We also get to basic statements in SQL, all the different commands, the DDL commands and the DML commands. So when you create a table as well, and you don't want the table again, there are two things you can do. The first thing is that you can truncate the table. Okay? Truncating a table means that you don't want the data in the table again, but you still want the table. So when you truncate the table, you empty the table. But when you drop a table, then there's a second one that is dropping a table. Dropping a table is, I don't want this table again. I don't want the data. I don't want the table. I just want the table out. So dropping a table takes out everything about the table. Truncating only takes out the data, that's the content of the table, but it still leaves your table. Dropping a table does not keep the table, it discards everything. So when dropping a table, you have to be careful. If you still need a table, you have to be careful not to drop it. Okay? But if you don't want the table again, good, you can drop. But if you still want the table, but maybe you don't want the data set inside it, you want another set of data inside the table, you can truncate it and recreate it. But the good thing is, whether you drop a table or when you drop a table, you can recreate the table. But when you truncate a table, you don't recreate it, you insert the data into the table because it's an existing table. But when you drop a table, that table is gone. If you need it back, you need to recreate it. Do you get that? So,
Yes.
okay, good. So then we now have SQL constraints. But before then, can somebody tell me what the difference is between dropping a table? Okay, so I have 3 questions. The first one is, what is the difference between a table and a database? And then what is the difference between dropping a table and truncating a table? Okay, 2 actually. So what's the difference between a database and a table, and also dropping a table and recreating a table and truncating a table? Because this is very important, because when you start working fully with it, you don't want to make mistakes that will cost you hours to get by. You might want to create a table and it runs for 3 hours, and then the table just keeps creating, and in 3 hours you can run some scripts that will run for more than 24 hours. You create it on a table. You don't want to make the mistake of dropping that kind of table. Do you understand? You don't even want to make the mistake of truncating those kind of tables, because dropping that kind of table is going to cost you another 24 hours of recreating it. Okay, so I want us to be able to establish that and be sure there's an understanding of, okay, dropping and recreating and truncating tables. So please, I want somebody to give me that, the difference between a database and a table, then dropping a table and truncating a table. Hello? Can anyone hear me?
Yes, ma, we can.
Okay.
Okay, from my understanding, ma, a database houses a table.
Okay.
Yes, so a table. I can see it on the screen, anyways. But okay, a table.
Oh, you can still see my screen?
Yes. Okay, a table contains fixed, yeah, rows and columns basically. And then you can't just create a table in MySQL without housing it in a database. More like database is where the table resides, more like the warehouse of the table. So you can't just leave the table stranded. I'm just explaining it literally, ma. Can I go ahead?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so the difference between dropping and truncating a table, like you explained, dropping a table means deleting the table entirely from that particular database, while truncating the table means you are keeping the rows and columns, or you are deleting the data in that table. So that was I understood from what you said.
Okay, another person.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think what I was able to understand is that the database contains data which might not exactly be structured into and columns per se. And so it might not be ordered necessarily into rows and columns, but the table is ordered into rows and columns. You can see the table from the data you have in the database. If you want to order your data, just create a table and set them in rows and columns. Then, just like he said, truncating a table is when you remove the data set or the data that the table contains and leave the table existing in your workspace. While when you drop the table, you delete it entirely. The table doesn't exist again. And if you need that table, you have to recreate. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so we've discussed it rightly. So a table is a subset of the database. You create tables in a database, and then when you truncate a table, you still have the table, but you don't have the content. But when you drop a table, you don't have the table and you don't have the content. All right, so then, okay, let me reshare my screen.
I'd like to ask a question.
All right, please go ahead.
Okay, does that mean that in a database you can have several tables?
Yes, you can have
Okay.
several tables in a database, multiple tables. All right,
Thank you.
so SQL constraints. I don't know why my system is not popping up. Okay, good. Can you see my screen now? Can you still see it? All right. So we have SQL constraints. So SQL constraints are commands you use to increase the accuracy of your data set through a table. So the main use of constraints is to limit the type of data that can go into a table. So when you want to ensure accuracy in your data, in the data you're putting into the table you are creating, whether from another table or you're creating a table, you want to ensure the data is accurate, and to do that, you use constraint commands. So there are 5 major constraints. There are other constraints, but these are the most used constraints. So we have the default, that's when no value is specified, then a set of default values for a column is added. Then we have not null. Not null makes sure that a null value will not be stored in a column. Then unique values entered to the table will be unique if this constraint is applied. Index is used to create and also retrieve data from the database. Then check is if you want to satisfy a specific condition in a column, then you use check. So those are the constraints you use to ascertain accuracy of your data set. Then this brings us to DDL and DML commands. Okay, but before we go into the commands proper, I want us to, for the people that have the MySQL, I want you to open your SQL. I want you to create a database and then also create a table. You create a database and then you create a table. So to do that, you open MySQL. Okay, hold on, let me connect to. Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay, so for those that have the MySQL, okay, so the person, is it Ubat? Can you access your MySQL now? Hello?
Sorry, ma, I'm not the one that was having issues with my SQL, just Mr.
Okay,
Henry.
sorry, who had issues with the MySQL?
Mr. Henry Diogo.
Henry? Hello? Hello, is Henry there? Okay.
Hello, but I don't think it's online.
You said?
He's not online. He's not online.
Oh, okay. So Sims is not online. So okay. So if you have your SQL open, so connect to the local instance. Let me share my screen. Okay. So if you have MySQL, when you open it, it looks like this. Then you connect to the root server, the local instance. Okay. So we are creating a database and we are creating tables. Okay. So I want you to, so once you connect to local instance, you open a new query tab and then create a database and also create a table. Using the creating table from scratch, like fresh table, not creating table from another table. So you are creating a fresh table. So I want us to do that. I want at least one person to do that. Hello? Is anyone doing that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Chima, please go ahead.
So has anybody done that? So if you have successfully created a database, you share your screen for others to see. Hello, has anyone been able to do that successfully?
Yes, I've done that.
Okay, so share the screen for others to see.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Excuse me, well, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, sorry, I've not been able to exceed my home page. I don't know what to do for my home page, I'm sorry.
You don't know what?
I'm still on my welcome to my SQL workbench homepage. I don't know what to do next.
All right, please share the screen. Let me see.
Okay. This is my screen now. Hello?
Okay, so click on the local instance.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Emmanuel.
Yes, video.
Yes, please.
So Henry is back on the call now. Please ask him what's the problem. You should use this visual they seen as case study. Like when he opened MySQL, what is he saying exactly? So that we know what to do.
So whose screen am I seeing? This Hubert.
This is Hubert's screen.
Yeah,
Hubert's
this
screen.
Hubert.
Hello, ma'am.
Okay.
Sorry, I couldn't switch to my PC after a couple of attempts, but it's still giving me the same error that my SQL cannot detect any server running, and it means that my SQL is not installed. So I can't see that what Hubert just shared now, the local instance server. I couldn't detect it on my SQL one bit.
Okay, Emmanuel. So what is it going to do then?
So Henry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Manu.
So when you open MySQL, did you see welcome to MySQL?
Yes, I saw welcome to my SQL.
So did you see any connection, local instance?
No, I did not see it. It's telling me that it's not detecting any server.
Okay, are you seeing welcome to MySQL on the page now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Now, Hubert, please go to home. Go to home for you. Click on the left. Yes, exactly. So what can you see this thing that is pointing to?
Sorry, I can't hear you. Come again.
Can you see what Hubert is pointing to?
No, I can't. That's the only thing. That's the only thing different from Hubert's screen and my screen.
So can you click on this plus sign? This plus sign that you can see
Okay, I
there.
can. Okay, I can.
Hubert, please do that too. So can you
Okay.
see this guy?
Yes, I can.
Okay, put a connection name. Put any name you like.
Okay.
So Can you see this? Can you see this user? This is your name. What's there? What's there for you?
Come again.
In your username, what's there?
Root.
Click
Exactly
on
what is
click on the password stored in default. Click on password stored in default in vault.
I should click on store in vault.
Yes.
Okay.
So you are
It's
going to
directing me
insert the
to.
password you used while installation. Hubert, click on it. So the password you inserted when you were installing MySQL, put it there.
I don't think I can remember it though.
Please go on with the class. Please go on with the class.
Okay, so Hubert, you successfully created a database. So can you share?
I'm still sharing. It's my screen that's still. Hello, ma.
So we can't see it.
You can see your screen, you can't see the database.
How do I don't know where to do. That's why I'm looking for directions. I don't know all of that. I'm not so good at SQL.
Okay, so have you
Yeah,
created the database? Okay,
my
so do create
SQL.
database.
Capital letters.
Create database. Then you give it a name. You name your database. Semicolon. You always end your query with a semicolon.
Okay. Then shift enter. Or control enter.
Yeah, you can do control enter, you can do run scripts, either ways.
Okay. Yeah, I've done that.
Okay, create database. So once you run any script on SQL, if you see the action output here, if that script did not run, it will come back as red. So you won't see a green tick, but instead you will have a red cancel sign. Okay, you have a red cancel sign. So this is successful. That's why you have the green tick. So go to where you have schemas on your left hand side, then refresh it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so there you have your database.
Mm.
So you might want to close the first schema and then expand, you collapse the first schema, then expand your own database.
Okay.
So in your database, you can have tables, you can have views, you can do procedures, you can do functions. Okay. So when you have table, when you create a table, it goes inside tables. When you create views, it goes inside views. When you create procedures, it goes in stored procedures. When you create functions, it goes in functions. Okay. So let's create one table and then we'll continue the part.
Would you want to share your screen or we should still continue on
No,
mine?
you go on your screen.
Okay.
So do create table.
Okay, I can type create table like on
No,
another
just
line.
enter. Just do enter and continue.
Okay.
You can do enter 2 times and then
Like that.
yes, please.
And table name.
Yes, so you put in a table name.
Should I run it?
Okay. Oh, okay. So, like I explained that when you're creating a table, you want to use a name that is specific that will let you know what and what is stored in the table. So what you want to store in the table would inform the kind of name you give the table. And then, so you've done create table, you've selected the table name, but you have not selected what should be in the rows, in the columns, and the data types of each columns is meant to have.
Okay.
So instead of the semicolon, you open a bracket to put in the columns.
Okay.
So you might want to change the name from my table because I said, okay, let's say for training, Isha.
What kind of
Let's say
data?
for training purpose. So you can use the way you did create table, my table, you can add something that, okay, my table training underscore training or something.
Okay. Can you do that?
Okay. So the table we are creating, what and what do we want to have in the table? So let's say we want to create a table of everybody in this class. We want to create a table, okay, training table, good. So we want to have names. What is the data type for names? So we can use varchar. So put the names in column.
Like that?
No, a single column.
Single.
Yeah, single column. Good. So then put a space and put the data type. Varchar, this is varchar.
45?
No.
What should we use?
So varchar is VARCHAR.
CHAR.
Yes, please.
Okay. What number should we use? Vaka what?
So you can use 50, put in bracket 50.
Okay.
Okay, so say age.
Will I put a comma after that or I'll just go
Yes,
straight
put
to
a
age?
comma. No, put a
Okay.
comma. Then say age. So you only separate each column so it's a comma.
Okay. Are you also using this one? This will be numbers now.
Pardon? Yes, age is numbers.
So what format am I see?
Okay, you can use integers.
Integer 2.
So put address.
Okay, I can't see yourself, ma. This is I'm not the only one.
No, I'm
You
not
can't see
sharing
my
my screen. Hubert is.
I can't see you, but okay, I can see it now.
capital. Thank you.
Okay, so Ubers, what do you have now? Okay, you have name, you have age, you have address.
Address.
Okay, so we want to do state. We do state, you do city, and then you do phone numbers.
Ten should do. Yeah.
Pardon?
Characters should do now for state.
I didn't get that.
The characters for vocal. For state, I mean.
Yes. So for state, use characters or use vaca. Use vaca. Use 50.
50. Wow. City. Is that all? No phone number.
No states and phone number.
Yeah, I want to put phone number. Integers, right? 11.
For phone number, you can as well use. So don't use integer for phone numbers. Use let's use vaca for phone numbers. The reason is because you might have. No.
As I was saying the same that it makes more sense to use phone number as backup, not integer. Since we're not doing any real computation or aggregation on phone numbers.
Hello?
Hello?
I thought the reason for that was because we were going to use somebody could probably input their phone number and say +234 with the code, a variable character as against integer that will just take only numbers. Hello?
Okay, so use vaca instead of integers because some phone numbers can have +234.
Yeah.
Some can have space. Some can have hyphen. So you can have different things.
Yes. Okay. So should I close the table bracket now?
Okay, yes, you can.
So am I to run it?
Yes.
It's still showing an X on the side.
Pardon?
It's still showing that red X on the side. So what's wrong? Syntax error.
Put a space in front of create training table name.
Space here?
Yes. Then let it come down. Do enter and let it come down so that.
Like this?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, run it. Let's see. Something is not correct in this.
You put semicolon at the end.
Oh, Oh. I don't. Is that really solving the problem?
No, you shouldn't put this column there. Just delete the column. I think the bracket should be very
So
close to the name.
remove the hyphen. Let's see if it's going to work. Remove the column in the names. Let's see columns. Yes, remove those ones. Let's see if it's going to take it out.
Should I run it now?
Remove for everything.
Oh, okay.
Remove for everything. Let's see.
Didn't I'm sorry, ma'am. Would you like to like share your screen? You might be, I don't know, more proficient in doing all of this if you're doing it with your hands. I don't know if that makes any sense. Hey, madam.
Hello?
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
I said,
So
how
you
about
can
you share
run
your screen and do it yourself? Like, maybe you might get the inspiration to do the right thing.
I have an idea, man.
So what should we do?
Okay. Somebody said I have an idea.
Actually, when I was trying to do it on my own, I tried creating a table on my own. I actually right click on the table, then I was saying create a table, which is a manual way of doing it, and which is actually very easy instead of doing it this way, man.
Okay, so you need to know how to do the code. So
Okay,
don't
man.
go that route.
Okay, man.
So the purpose of this
Sorry,
class is
hello,
to
ma.
learn SQL. Okay, is to learn the language. There are several other ways you can get things done, but we want to learn the language. Okay. So for the age, use 10.
But can you start removing the space for the last bracket also?
Okay.
Sorry, please, if you hover the mouse around the first bracket, it's saying the bracket is not valid at this position for this, like an error message or something. You said you're expecting
I don't
select.
think there's space between the table name and that first bracket.
I should put a space there.
I don't think there should be a
Yes,
space. It's supposed to just be
Okay.
the table name and then straight to the bracket, first bracket. Yes, so you cannot enter the names. But after the name, you cannot enter that one. Yes.
Okay, so what table
And I
are we
think
creating? Let me
this
share my
names.
screen.
Sorry, sir. I think the names it has a particular I don't know function already that it executes in SQL because it's highlighted blue, as opposed to all the other title or the row column titles. So I think should I try giving it some other name? Let me say full name.
Or surname.
I'll just use full name since it could just be like name. Let me use full name. Should I try running it now? Hello?
Yes, go ahead. Try running. Let's see how it goes.
Didn't work.
Okay, so what are the columns you are creating? So we have name, integer, No. Integer, I do int.
Okay.
Okay,
So
full name back
yeah,
15.
table name.
Remove 10. Remove the 10 from the integer.
What
Remove
should
the
I?
10. Don't put anything in that bracket. An integer is an integer. Don't put anything in that bracket. Then address, varchar, okay, state, varchar, city, varchar, phone number, varchar. Run it like that.
What about your semicolon? A semicolon after the command.
You've already
said there's no
created
need
a
for
table
it.
before.
No,
You created a
the
table
table
already.
already
So
exists.
it's running.
You already
So you
created
might
it.
have to drop the table and create it.
So query the table.
Or you update the table.
How do I do that?
Do select. Go to the next line. Do select star.
Select star. Like shift star or what? Hello? 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 Hello?
Hi,
Daniel?
feedback.
Hello.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You said I should pick select star. Whenever I select star, how do I do that? This star?
Type select. Okay. Okay, don't worry. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll go to SQL commands next. We'll spend so much time on this. But the good thing is the table has been created. So I'm going to, after this class, I will share this PowerPoint with you so that you'll go through it. So the reason why the table did not create is from the data type, the way you specified the data type. Okay. So for integers, when you're typing integer, you just type int, not the integer in full. But the good thing is that this table has been created. You see table already exists. If you
Yes.
look up, you see where the table was created. Okay. So when you're running a script and you're having errors, just check the message that followed. You see the error in the command. So look at this one where you have error 1681. Say integer display width is depreciated and will be removed in a future release. So that's to tell you that the error came from the integer. Okay. So the first one say you have error in the syntax. Check the manual that corresponds with the server version. So each of the errors have to always return a message. So you can use the error message you're getting to see what the issue is and correct it. Do you get that? So now that we
Yeah.
already have the table, let's go to DDL command so that you see how the table, how to query your tables, how to get information on your tables. But okay, so for this kind of table that you created, the table is a blank table, there's no data inside it. So we also learn how to insert data into our tables. So I'm going to share my screen now so that we'll go into the DDL command. Okay. So the first command is the select statement, is the select command. Okay. So the select command is the most basic SQL query for manipulating your database. So whether you're querying a table, you're querying a database, anything you want to do in SQL, the first most important function or language call you need is the select statement. So you do that, and there are different ways you can use the select statement. Okay, you can use the select statement to return all the values in the table. You can use it to select different columns that you want. So let's say, okay, like this table we created now, it has age, it has name, it has address. So let's say you just want the name and the age. You can use the select statement to call forth the name and the age. You can use the select statement to call forth everything in the table. Okay, so if you want to select, so we'll say, okay, the first one will say to display all the fields in the table, you use the star operator. This will display the entire table. So like I said earlier, that you should do select star. So select star, you can call it select star or select all. I'm so used to calling it select all. So anytime you hear me say select all, I'm saying select star. Okay. So you have select star from table. So if you type this, select star from table name, the table name, you're going to return everything in the table. So then you can also use it to call forth columns to specify selected fields. So you can say select, so let's say we have, what's that table name again? Ubat, what's the table name? So
Training
that
table.
the table you created, what's the table name?
Training table. Okay.
Training table,
Training
good.
table.
All right,
Yes.
training table, good. All right, so let's say you want to see all the columns created in the training table. You do select star from training table. So let's say you now want only the name and the age of everybody. You say select name, that's the column name. So the column name for name, we use full name, right? So say select full name, comma, age from training table. You can select as many columns as you want. You can even decide to do, instead of saying select all, you do select and list all of the columns out from the training table. It's still going to return the full value. Then you can use it to display certain fields without duplicates. So let's say you want to return, let's say we didn't say full name, we say first name. Let's say we separated like first name, last name, middle name. And then we have 2 Ubats. Okay, let's say we have 2 people with the name Ubat, and we want to see about Ubat. So I can say select distinct first name from training table. Okay, so if I say select distinct first name, select distinct Ubat from training, first name from training table, it's going to return 1 Ubat, not the 2 Ubat, because I have used the word distinct. Okay, so because I've used the word distinct, it's going to give me 1 Ubat. So let's say we have Tokwe, we have Tokwe that is a male, we have Tokwe that is a female. You know, that one will be specified in gender. So if I just say select distinct first name from training table, and there are 2 Tokwes, it's going to give me 1 Tokwe. But let's say I now say select distinct first name, comma, gender from training table. It's going to give me the 2 Tokwes, and it's going to give me their gender. But let's now say there are 3 Tokwes, 2 of them are male, 1 is a female. And I say select distinct Tokwe, select distinct first name, comma, gender. It's going to give me 2. So that will give me Tokwe for male, Tokwe for female. Okay, so the distinct word is used with the select statement to select fields without returning duplicates. Do you understand? Then there's also the where condition. So the where condition is used when you need to do a more refined filtering in the database or in the table. So under the where section, you specify certain conditions. So let me say now from the training table, I want to select first name and age, but I want only people that are above 40 years. I will now say select first name, comma, age from training table, where age. So the age now is the condition, where age is greater than 40. That is the condition that goes with the where age greater than 40. That is the condition that goes with the where. So the where statement helps you to do a more refined filtering. Then we also have the and filtering. And helps to further separate, further filter your query. So let's say you have where, and it's always used after a where. You can't use and after select. So you can't do select all from training table and, no, you can't do that. So it goes together with, it goes after the where condition. So you say select, select first name from training table where age is greater than 40 and gender equals to female. So each and goes with a condition, and you can use the and multiple times, but you can only in a query you can only use the where statement only once in a single line of query. Okay, you can only use the and you can only use the where condition once, but in a situation where you want to return multiple conditions, then you use the and. You can use the and as many times as possible in a single line of query. Then we have the or command. The or command displays a record if the condition is separated by or is true. So let's say we want to select, so let's say we select first name, comma, age from training table, where age equals to 40, or where age is greater than 40 or below 100. Do you get that? Where age is greater than 40 or below 100. So it's also a way of refining or filtering your outputs, the output of your data. Then we have the not statement, the not command. The not command displays a record if the condition or conditions are not true. So I say select all from training table, where not, okay, let me use, okay, so let's say Hubert is a male. So let's say we have Hubert and we have gender male. Then I now say that, okay, select all from training table where first name not, or where not first name gender equals to female. Okay, so I say where not gender equals to female. Do you understand? So the where not is used when the condition is not true. Then we also have the insert into. This insert into is used to insert data inside a table or record in a table. You use the insert query. So like the training table we created, there's no data in it. But let's say we now want to insert data inside our training table. Let's say we want to insert data inside our training table. There are two ways we can insert the data. The first one is that we can use the insert directly, insert table name, then we open a column and insert into training table, then we open a bracket that types in, we now type in the columns that we have in the already created tables. Then we now put the values. Value 1, so let's say column 1 is name. Then the value that will be in the first column is the person's name. The second one will be the age, and like that. Then the second way we can do it is we can insert without specifying the columns, without listing the columns. The only thing is that just ensure that the right value is in the right column. Because if you put, if column 1 is name and you put age as the first value, the age will be inserted into the column, into the name column. So you don't want to make that mistake. You want to put the right information in each column. Just ensure it is in the same position you want it to be. Do you get that? Then, in case you want to insert specific columns, let's say you want to insert data in training table. Let's say we want to insert into the name and gender, in the name and age alone. We can now say, okay, insert into training table, column 1, name, column 2, age. And then that means we're not inserting into all the columns. We just want to insert into maybe 1 or 2 columns in the table. You ensure you select specific columns and then the value you are inserting into it. Okay, then we have the aggregate function. The aggregate function is used where values of multiple rows are grouped together as inputs on criteria or single value is returned. An aggregate function is often used with a group by having of the select statement. So the most used aggregate function in SQL is count. We have sum, we have average, we have minimum, and the maximum. But you don't, when you are writing it, just like we have the integer in data type, we don't write it as integer. You can as well write it as integer anyway, but you can as well write it as int to avoid typing the long letter. Okay, so this place you can choose to write average, you can do avg, you can do minimum min, max max. So the count function returns the number of rows that match specified criteria. So let's say, okay, let's say you want to count the number of students in training table. So, you know, we have name, right? We have the name column, and all you want to do is just want to count the number of people in training table. You just select count name, the full name column. You select count the full name column from the training table, and it brings out the count. But when you now want to filter it down and say, okay, you want only the people that are above 10 years old, you say select count name, full name from training table where age is greater than 10. So that gives you only the people, the count of the people that are 10 years old. So instead of doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and counting the columns one after the other, just do select count. It gives you the number of people in the column, in the class. Then you have average. The average function returns the average value of a numeric column. So let's say we are selecting age, for example. So what is the average age of cost of students in training tables? So once you select average age from training table, it gives you the average age of the students in the training table. So you can as well use the sum function. So let's assume there's another column in the training table that says salary. Okay, and then you now want to see, oh, how much is the total salary of all these of all the students in training class? You do sum. So you can as well use the count and the sum together in a single statement, in a single command. You can say count name and sum salary. So it gives you, let's say there are 20 students, it gives you the count of the student as 20 and the sum of their salary as maybe 5 million. Do you get that? So it adds up. So the count only 1, 2, 3, but the sum adds up everything in the column. Then we also have the minimum function and the maximum function. The minimum function returns the smallest value in the selected column. So let's say we want to return the minimum age. We want to see who is the smallest in this class. We'll say select minimum age from training table. If you want to drill it down again, let's say you want to select the smallest girl in the class, you say select minimum age from training table where gender equals to female. You understand? The same thing goes for max function. The max function returns the highest or largest value in the selected column. Then we have the group by and order by. We have the having function as well. The group by function is used to arrange a similar type of data into a group. So for instance, if the column in a table consists of a similar data or value in different rows, then we use group by function. So, let's say we want to select everything from, we say select all from training table, then we want to group it. We say we want to group it by your age, then we say group by age. We also have the having function. So this, for example, select column from where, then group by. Then another thing about group by is, in a situation where you use an aggregate function in your select query, you can only group by the non-aggregate function. So let's say you do select count, say you do select name, select full name, comma, age, comma, sum of salary. When you want to group by, you group by only the age and the full name. You don't group with the aggregate command. Is that clear? Are we following? Or I'm just... Hello?
Hello, I couldn't get the group by very well. Please come again, ma'am.
I said you only group by with a non-aggregate function. So when you use an aggregate function in your command, in your select statement, and you want to do a group by, you only group by the non-aggregate function. And in a situation where you have both the non-aggregate, when you have aggregate function and non-aggregate function in your select statement, you group it by the non-aggregate function. In fact, when you have a non-aggregate function and an aggregate function, you have to group by the non-aggregate function. Do you get that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we also have the having clause. The having clause is used to place conditions where we need to decide which group will be part of the final result. So say, for example, you have selector from this, where then you have already grouped by, and then you can go further to say having that or having age greater than so is also a way of filtering down the output of your data set. Then we also have the order by. Order by is just a way of arranging your data. So if you want your data to come out in alphabetical order, or you want it to come out in largest to smallest, smallest to largest, is a way of filtering it to do order by. You can do order by with group by or without group by. Okay, so you can do order by immediately after your where and condition. You can do order by after your group by, but the order by should be the last thing in your query so that it returns it the right way. So you can do order by, say you want to select So you want to select, you select full name, comma, age from training table. You can order it by the age to oldest to youngest or youngest to oldest. So by default, when you are doing group by, when you are doing order by, it is in ascending order by default. So if you now want it to be in descending order, you specify descending. But if you are not sure it's in ascending order, you can as well still specify ascending or descending. To say ascending, you say ASC. Then descending, you use DSC as to end the order by statement. Okay, I'm going to share this PowerPoint with you after this class. Then we also have the null values. The null values represent a missing value, but it is different from no value. It is different from zero value or empty spaces. The null value in the table is a value that appears to be blank. A field with a null value is a field with no value in SQL. To check the null value, you use is null or is not null. Okay, but it is different from zero columns. So when you have zero, it is not the same as null. A null is when it is empty, there's nothing inside it. That is a null value. Okay, so you can return, you can look for, so if you want to run a query, you want to check, okay, you want to select all from trainee table where age is null. That means it's going to return to people that do not have anything in their age column. Not the people that have 0 year, that is 0 years old, but the people that have their age column empty. Then when you use the word is not null, let's say you say select all from training table where age is not null. That means it will return only the people that have values in their age column, including people that have 0 age, that are 0 years old.
Sorry, ma, I have a question, ma.
Okay, go ahead.
Can it take more than one query? Maybe if I want to query maybe more than one column for the null or is not null.
I don't get that.
Maybe I have maybe I want to query. I want to check whether is a column is null. Now maybe I want to check for full name. I want to check for age. Maybe now when I say select from full name, select from this one, from this table, and check whether they are whether it's null.
Yes, you can. So you can say select full name, comma, age, comma, address, where age is null or where age is not null. So you can select different columns, but in the, the where condition is just one, it's only once you can use the where condition. So you can use where age is not null or where age is null and address is null, or where age is not null and address is null, or where age is null, where age is not null and address is not null. So you can use that. Do you get that?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So a null value is different from a 0 value field or a field that contains spaces. So we should always have that at the back of mind that when you are using the null command, you are saying fields that are empty. Then we also have the update and delete. The update and delete, okay, so the update command is used to modify rows in a table. So you can update rows or columns in a table, okay? So to do that, let's say you want to update the name column in training table. You say update training table, set column 1, so set full name equals to, say you want to change Bola to Emeka. You say set column 1 equals to Emeka. Column 2 is you want to say, okay, column 2, the age, maybe the age is 10 before, you want to change it to 15, you put it, and then you put the where condition to filter down to what you want to do. Then you have the delete. You have the delete. So the delete command is used to delete rows that are no longer required. So you have a row that says, maybe you have an empty row and you want to delete it. You use delete from table name where, so at that point you can say delete from training table where age is null. It helps you delete those rows from the data set. Okay, so somebody will ask, so if I now say what is the difference between a delete and truncate? Do you remember that truncate will only delete the data but keeps the table? But with delete, you can as well delete the data set. You only delete from table name and you use your condition to select the rows you want to take out. But the difference between the deleting and truncating is that first, delete is a DML command, truncate is a DDL command. Delete records one by one, and then truncate deletes everything at once. Do you get that? Truncate takes out everything at once. Delete takes everything one after the other. With the delete function, you remove it one by one, but with the truncate, you remove everything at once. So if you have a large data set, you can as well just truncate it instead of going one by one to take it out. Then we have the in and between operators. The in operator is used to specify multiple values where inside the where clause, and it has as short for multiple or. So you can say select full name from training table where age in. So instead of saying where age equals to this, or age equals to this, or age equals to this, you can just say where age in, and then list the, open a bracket, list the age you want to check, separated by a comma. Then we have the between operator. So this between operator is like a selecting a range. So you can say select name from training table where age between 10 and 5, or where age between 10 and 20. It filters down to only people that are between age 10 and 20. Okay, then we have the aliases in SQL. Alias is a process of giving a table or a column a temporary name so that it helps when query is complex. It increases readability of the query. The renaming is temporary and the table name does not change in the original database. So you can alias a table or you can alias a column. So if you remember up here when we were talking about creating a table from another table, we use the alias as. Okay, so you can alias a table or alias a column. So if you're aliasing a column, say you want to rename from your output, you want to say, okay, full name, you don't want it as full name, you want it as first name. But what you have in the table is full name. When you're selecting the query, you say select full name as the new name you want to give it, first name from training table. When the output comes out, it will come out as, the column will come out as first name, not full name that is in the table. The same thing with table aliasing. When you're aliasing a table, so that is what you use when you're creating a table from another table. You do select all the columns you want to create from table name as, or you do create table from also you do create table, the new table name as, then the query from the old table name. Okay, so that is how you do aliasing as well. So any question, I'm going to share this document with us, and I'm also going to give us a simple, so the next slide after this would be like a class exercise. And I expect us all to do it before next class, and we'll share. So next class, I don't want to hear I'm on mobile. So next class, I expect everybody to have done it and then share. We'll share the result and see what everybody's able to come up with. But any question while we do that? Hello? Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me?
Yes, ma. Can hear you, ma.
Yes, ma, I can hear you.
Okay. Or are we saying we understand everything and we don't have any question? Hmm? Hello? So in the absence of question, I'm going to ask you questions.
Okay, ma. No problem.
All right, so from the training table that was created, if I want to, okay, so just imagine it that you have so imagine that you have age, you have name, you have gender, then you have address, you have state. So, and I want to select only the people that are in Lagos, and the people that are in Lagos and they are above 20 years old, and I want to know their salary. How will I write the script in your head?
Okay, ma. If I heard you clearly, say you want to know the people that so from our table that we created, you want to know people that are in Lagos with age 20, and you want to know their salary.
Above 20 years.
Okay, above 20 years. Okay, that would be a select. Then column name will be salary, since it's just salary you want to know. And then from the table name, is that table that we created.
It's not
already.
just salary I want to know. I want to know everybody that are in Lagos and they are above 20 years of age, and I want to also know their salary.
Okay, ma. So we can do a select asterisk from the table, which is a table that we created already. Then we put a where condition. So it will be where salary will be equals to, okay, sorry, that's where age is equal to or greater than 20, and location equals to, use a, or like Lagos, we use a string operator there. That will use equals to Lagos if you know the exact case we use for the location there. Or if you don't, we can use a like statement like Lagos.
Okay. All right. So that's good enough. Any other contribution? Hello? How many people are in this class? How come you people are not talking? Hello?
Okay, I want to contribute to what Danny said.
Okay.
If we set or as in location come up first before
Oh, I can't hear you.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
So I said I believe location should come up first before should be the first condition, while age should be the second condition.
Okay, so there's no one way fits all to writing queries. Okay, you can write your query anyhow as long as you get the desired output. So you can choose to use age first, you can choose to use location, you can choose to use whichever condition first, as long as you get all the conditions right and your output is what you want. Do you understand? So whether you use location first or you use age first or whatever condition you use first, it doesn't determine your output. What determines your output is the total conditions you use altogether. Do you get that? So it's the total condition you use altogether that determines your output. The way you end your query is what determines your output. So
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to share Okay, so I'm going to share the slide with you. Inside the slide is the question, and there will also be an attached Excel sheet to work with. So you use the Excel sheet, you create a database. For those that have not created a database, you create a database, you create your table, you insert the data into the table, and then you insert the data into the table, and then you answer the question. So, okay, sorry, I want to take some minutes break. But while I do that, Emmanuel. Hello, Emmanuel.
Hello.
All right, please, I want you to help me show them how to insert into a table from an external source, like an Excel file or a TXT file, how to load it into a table while I take some minutes break.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello, everyone.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. As I said on the group chat, I would like to make some clarification. Maybe after this slide, we are going to talk about it. So I want to share my screen now. I believe someone with a good network is going to see my screen. If I'm not seeing my screen, the network is not good. Let me see. Oh, I think I have to use another PC to show. Maybe I can. Go on. So uh, okay. All right. So Henry was having one issue, has been disturbing and I don't want to talk. So this was what Henry was having issue with. Click on this guy, put the connection name, go to store on default, Okay, let me create a connection here. Let me create a connection. Let me call it ability. So then I'll go into store default, put my password, then okay it, then test connection. You can see successfully made my SQL connection, then I will okay. Then that's created my connection, then you click on it to come into the query editor. So if you don't know your password, then I don't know what I can do for you. So I'm here. So there's the different ways you can load in. So let me get someone in. So there are different ways you can load a data into a table. So one way is to load it directly, or you create a structure of the data you want to load into the database and insert inside it. So this is what I'm talking about. Let's say I want to let me look whether I have a kind of example I can use to explain this. Let me see whether I have it. So let me see. Okay, let's say I want to use this employees data. So I want to open employee data. Let's say I have this data. I want to load this data into the database. There's one way I can do it. I can do something like this. This is what I can do something like this. This so I have I have 11 columns here. So I can create a table that has this structure. So how do I do that? First of all, I'll copy the column name. Then I'll copy the column name like this, the header. Then I copy this. And I go to my SQL. And I create a table. Let me say I'll use the create table statement. This table employees. First of all, I have to select the database I want to use. I have Sakila, I have Caesar, I have Word. If I don't want it in all these databases, I have to create a new database. Let me say create database. She has taught you how to create database. So who is that again? Who is that again? So she has taught you guys how to create database. I want to call it SQL HR. SQL underscore HR. I'll create this. Then I run this. So I can come here and refresh. You're going to see the database there, SQL underscore HR. Now, to create the table now, if you want this create table statement, before you run your create table statement, you have to select the database you want that table to go inside. So I have 4 databases here, but I want this table to go inside this particular database. This is SQL underscore HR. There are 2 ways for me to do that. It's either I double click on this database, or I use the code use database, that's SQL underscore HR. I want this query, use SQL underscore HR. If I run this database has been highlighted. So it is like if I should want this create table statement, this table will be created under this database. So now, this table employee that I want to create, what will be the columns? I've already copied it from the Excel file. So I'll just paste it here. So these are the column names. I can close the bracket. Then I will give them the data types. Employee ID is going to be a voucher. Let me say 50, size 50. And first name, I give it a voucher, size 50. And last name, sorry. My last name also a voucher, size 50. How am I typing this way? And email is also a voucher. I also give it size 50. My phone number also a voucher, size 50. Good. There's no comma here. My higher date is let me check the format here. So it's a date. So let me give it a date. I can give it a voucher. I can give the voucher. I can convert it to, so it's always same. Let me just use a voucher. I can convert this to get data type later. So let me use a voucher size 20. Job ID, just a voucher 20. Let me confirm that job ID before I give it a size. Okay, that's fine. Salary is going to be, let me check the format of the salary. It's in integer version, so I'll just give it integer. I'll just write int here, then comma. Then this guy, I think this guy is also an integer. It's not an integer. So I can just give it float. Float data type. I can float this guy. Then manager ID voucher. And give this 52. Then departmental ID is also a voucher. When you want to express yourself. Then I'm done with this guy. So I used to like enclosing my what do you call it? My column is this. So this is different from the normal quotation mark you use. If you use the normal quotation mark, it might problem, it might give you an error. I not be able to create that. I use this kind of quotation mark.
So what are you using? What are you using
here? There's this key, there's this key beside one on your keyboard. Just press that key beside one on your keyboard. It has this. You're able to see it. So okay, then this. Then I think that's all. Then I'll just control enter. Then the table has been created. If I want to see the table, I can just refresh here. Then you see the table here, employees table. So it is empty. It is empty. I want to drop this table. I don't like this table. I want to drop it. I'll tell you the reason I want to drop it. Drop table. I forgot to add the primary key. I don't like creating a table without the primary key. Employees table. I'll drop table as employees. Then I'll create it again. Then I'll give employee ID is going to be the primary key. So I want to add auto increments too. Auto increments. Then I'll create it again. The table has been created. Refresh.
What does auto increments do?
What happened? It's not running, so hold on. He said someone is saying something.
I said, what does auto increment do?
Auto increment is like if you want to insert into the table now, for example, you don't need to specify employee ID. You just create the next index for you by default. By default. So, hello.
I can hear you.
You understand what I said?
I'm sorry, I did not.
Yeah, I mean, you don't hear me.
I did not understand what you said.
I said auto increment is like if you want to insert into this table, you don't need to specify the employee ID. So let's say, okay, student number 1 is this particular name. So you want to enter the values for another student. I don't if I don't specify the employee ID, if I just insert, it's going to give the row automatically. It's going to give an a automatic increment by 1. So it's going to give it employee ID 2. If I insert another one, it's going to give the employee ID 3 in that manner.
Okay, I understand. So okay. I'm going to ask, how about a case where the data comes in, randomly and not like as structured as you're saying it now?
What do you mean by randomly?
Like instead of if the numbers were collected, the serial numbers or the customer ID number, they are not like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe it was like 1, 37, 07, 09, 88, stuff like that.
Can I?
Employee ID
Can I explain? Can I comment?
Yes, Daniel.
Okay. The employee ID that is the primary key there, it might not actually, it's just like an index in this, try relating to as primary key. Most times take like an index. That's why it's auto increment, so that you won't have a number repeating itself there. It's just mostly like an index for that table. So you can, if you're talking about relating how the like in a table, you're saying that as the table are entering, the numbers are not arranged. You can do an order by if you want to get a column that is arranged. But that primary key for the table is most like the index is needed for the table for indexing, for carrying out transactions on table very easily. I don't know if I'm clear.
No, I got that from what Mr. Emmanuel said. I was just wondering if it would be able to like sort things to arrange them if things came in randomly. I was just trying to understand that. But it's clear now.
Am I not spelling this thing properly? Employee underscore ID. This space do not employee underscore ID.
Copy and paste now.
Same thing now. Employee underscore ID.
Mr. Emmanuel, so you're also going to tell us how to import the data, to put those data into this place, right?
That's what I want to do now. That's what I want to do.
Okay. I like that.
Is that not Hubert? Okay, there's something wrong. No. Employee ID. I don't know what's wrong with this guy. I don't know what's wrong with it. Am I missing out something? No. But it's not just same thing. I don't think this I don't think this thing. Okay. Job table view electives. So the one is there. Okay. Let me just copy. Let me copy and paste from the Excel. From the Excel table. And these things can be funny sometimes. Let me copy and paste the column from the Excel table. The column name. Let's see whether it's going to have sense now. Same thing. This is not really issue like this. Wow. Okay. Okay. I don't know why it's giving me that issue. I don't know.
Mr. Emmanuel, do you think we'll be able to meet up with the next class at this week?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Just want to back up. So I need to okay. Sorry. So so the table has been created. So this is the table. So I want to select star from it. Select star from employees. You can see there's nothing inside. So if I want, I can insert into this table directly. So I'll just click on this guy. Where is it? It said import records. This guy, import records from an external file. So I'll just click on this guy. Then I'll browse this file. Then go to the location where my data is. Download. Then go to employees. Where is the guy? This guy. Then open this guy. Then next, the CSV file you can see. Create new table. No, use existing table. SQL HR.employee. Yeah, that's where I'm going. Okay, you can click on truncate table before import if there is something in the table before. I've checked this guy. So next. So you can see, you can go here and confirm the length of your data, which is 108. I guess 108 is the length of our data here. So one is in the waiting room. So let's see. So then you next this guy. Then you next. Then next. You can see what happened here. It said 35 records imported, blah blah blah, which means that there's an error importing this guy. So it means that the records didn't import properly. The records didn't import properly. So what am I going to do? I'm going to import it again. Drop this guy. Create this guy again. So let's start from this guy. Then I'm going to import again this way. So there's something I'm going to do. Use existing table. Then next. And this guy, I'm going to change this guy to this last guy here. Next, next, next. So there's an issue. There's an issue. So that's how you go about it. But you can sort this later. You can have the class about this later. About to deal with this issue you're having here. You're not supposed to have 35 records. You're not supposed to have 35 records when you put it. So another way you can import data again is to come here, click on this database. You want to import your table into this guy. Click on this. You say no, not this. I click on tables. So it's table data import wizard. Then let's say you want to use this guy. You can say next. Create new table. Let me call it employees 1. I want to create new table. So next. So there's an issue. You can see this guy starts from 100 to 104. Okay. I think manager ID commission. Let me call it double. Okay. This is salary is supposed to be integer. You can set it to be integer. I think other things remains equal. So let me see. Wow. So those are two ways to import your data. Anyways, those are 2 ways to import your data. So you have to sort those errors whereby you have 0 errors important. Check your data very well and find another means to go about it. Because of our time. So that's how you go about that, Sha. One last thing before we go. Please, I beg of you. Anything that is related to this program, if you want to ask me for anything, maybe if you have an issue, please drop it on the group chat. That is why the group chat is there. Drop it on the group chat. Unless I give a direction that I'm not available on the WhatsApp platform because of one thing or the other. Maybe I'm not able to open my WhatsApp platform. Who is the class rep? Who is the class rep, please? So do you guys have class rep?
Hubert is the class rep.
So if Hubert is the class rep, please, if you need to reach me one way or the other, please contact Hubert. Hubert should be the one that will contact me. I don't want the scenario that one person A will contact me, another person B will contact me, and I'll be receiving calls here and there. Please, I'm not a customer care representative.
But
If you have anything,
in a situation where
if you have any issue at all, please drop it on the WhatsApp platform. Not when you have
I've done that a couple of times and you don't respond,
so
so I don't know how to do it
when
from
I'm
there.
less, I'm still talking. When I'm less busy, I will check the WhatsApp platform. Your issue. I'm going to reply a message on the WhatsApp platform. Then don't come to my DM unless I specify. But if you have any request that is outside this Octave graduate program, you can send me a message due to the situation that you know me through the program. That is when you can enter my DM.
Okay, but in a situation where it was very urgent now, how would I rectified my issue?
There's nothing that's very urgent. There's nothing that's very urgent. You guys have a good chat platform. If one of your how like one of your colleagues can't able to solve your problem, then don't put until I'm available. There's nothing that's urgent. There's nothing that's urgent.
So you're
So,
literally
Mr.
saying that we should
Emmanuel,
not meet you
Mr.
directly
Emmanuel,
when we have an issue.
sorry, please, I want to come in now.
At all.
No. I understand what you said, that you should contact me in the name that I'm the cause of, and I will cascade to you. Well, since you're already on our group chat, I think anybody that has any problem can just drop their problems on the group chat and you can see it whenever.
That's what I'm saying. So So if you see that something is urgent and you want to call me, don't call me directly. Reach out to your classmate and call me. So if you have any problem, you have dropped on the teacher platform. So whenever I'm ready, I need to take it out. And if something I can solve immediately, I'll get to you. So you guys should stop disturbing me with calls, please. That's what I'm saying.
We're not disturbing you.
I'm
We
not
just need.
impressed with how you're
So
taking this thing,
I have
Mr.
a
Emma.
question, please. So if someone wants to come to the office or so, we should relate to Hubert, then Hubert will tell you, or we can just tell you directly.
Of
Which one?
course, you're on the
What
group chat. That is
what
the
comes
reason
to
why
the
we are
office?
relating to you
What comes
directly.
to the office? Now, but you can go to your WhatsApp. If you feel like it's very urgent, then you reach out to that so that those people come to the office. Let be available then. That's fine.
I see.
Okay, sorry. Hello, Emmanuel. Hello, Emmanuel. Sorry. Since you are on the call now, I just want to ask: are you
No,
available in the office?
hold on, please. So so if you reach
Yeah.
out to Hubert, hold on. If you reach out to Hubert and probably Hubert is not available, you guys should choose an assistant class rep you can reach out to also. That can reach out to.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Are you in the office now? I was hoping if I could come today to get the VMware.
So if you are coming to the office, let me tell you, if you are coming to the office, it's within an hour of 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's why I'm in the office between the hour of 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. But I can choose to leave the office before 6 p.m. But that's working hour, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Everybody's working from home. Everybody's working from home. I just come to the office. So if you guys are enjoying this privilege, it's a privilege anyways. It's a privilege anyways. So that's just it. I'm in the office. You can come.
All right. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Any
All
other
right,
question?
everyone. Thank you for today's class. Thank you. And apologies for eating into your time. Thank you very much. So we'll see next week. You get my mail very soon. We'll see next week. But please, let's try and get our hands around different queries, different things. Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.